Free to adjust this. Okay. Hi, everybody. We are going live now, and I am Mel from Life Force. And today I am talking with Maudie. Maudie is the steward of the Bower, and she's going to get into a lot more detail about her land and her mission in a minute here. But what I would like to present is the reason and why we found ourselves sitting in this beautiful library in Hillsborough, New Hampshire right now in order to talk to you about our kind of alliance and partnership around a very popular community event that we have here in Hillsborough. So before we do that, can you tell me a little bit about the Bower?
Sure. So the Bower is a 900-acre conservation forest in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, and it's part of the conservation legacy of Dave and Tanya Tellman, who lived at the Bower for 50 years. And during their time living in the North Country of New Hampshire, they were responsible for putting a huge amount of land, including the 900 acres of the Bower, under the protection of conservation easements with several different nonprofits, but the specific conservation easement holder for the Bower is the New England Forestry Foundation. I took over stewardship of the land from Tanya Tellman in 2020 and have been working to create more ways for the public to enjoy the trails and spaces at the property. And we're really excited this year to be opening up to the public a trail loop that's been certified by an organization called the Association for Nature and Forest Therapy Guides, ANFT. So ANFT has been working with the Bower to create a self-guided or guided version of a walk through our forest space that can be done in a mindful way as part of a personal practice or healing practice. And there's a lot of great evidence that shows how beneficial these types of mindful interactions with nature can be. And because the Bower has such a long history of that type of activity being done on the land, it seemed like a really great way to get that activity available to more people. So we do a number of other things at the property. It's a tree farm. It has a camping spaces for people to camp in the woodland. And we're managing the forest for wildlife habitat and for a number of other conservation values. So there's a lot of different layers of what goes on at the Bower. And the reason that Mel and I connected originally was because I was learning more about the green burial movement and ways that conservation values for forestry can align with conservation values in the green burial space as an additional way to use woodland. And so I've been learning a lot from Mel about how Life Forest is utilizing conservation values and green burial values to bring certain activities onto the land that are really beneficial for human health and families. And there's so many great, I think, types of compatible values between the things that you're doing at Life Forest and what we're trying to support at the Bower.
Well, thank you. I do want to ask, because you're very educated in this, and I think a lot of people hear terminology and not necessarily understand what it means and why it's important. But you had talked about conservation easements held by the forestry?
The New England Forestry Foundation.
So can you explain what a conservation easement is and maybe a little bit of nuance around yours in particular? And I think that's a marriage point in what we do at Life Forest is land conservation and there's an easement, but I don't know that people always understand what that means.
Sure.
So
I can explain a bit about how the easement at the Bower works. But broadly speaking, the idea of an easement is a set of legal restrictions that are applied to a piece of land, and they may be applied for a large number of reasons. Some of the most common easements that people might be familiar with are right-of-way easements. So it's a set of rights that allows one person or group of people to cross over another piece of land. In the case of conservation easements for forest land in the state of New Hampshire and in other states of the United States, easements, and my easement in particular, prevent certain types of development activity from happening on the land. So the Tellman family, who previously owned the land of the Bower, they were passionate conservationists. They really believed in the benefits of a working forest landscape for human health and for a lot of other reasons. And so they chose an organization, the New England Forestry Foundation, to help them craft easement terms that protect the land from ever being converted into residential or commercial development, but that reserve the rights of forestry, forest management, timber harvesting, wildlife habitat management, so that certain types of actions can occur in the forest land. So there's a significant number of protections of the forest, but it respects the landowner's ability to manage the forest in a way that improves forest health and that can support jobs that work in forestry or in silviculture, which is an aspect of agriculture that can happen in woodland environments. So an easement is basically a way of creating a set of restrictions chosen thoughtfully for a piece of land to protect it in a certain state in perpetuity. And the idea of an easement is that it runs with the land, meaning that when the ownership of the land changes hands, the terms of the easement are not overridden. So the easement that protects the Bower will exist after I'm gone and continue with whoever owns the land after I do.
And do you think that the idea, so it's held by the New England Forestry, and so they, in essence, work as like a third-party watchdog over that property? Is that?
Yeah, so a really important part of a conservation easement is the party that holds the easement. So in the case of NEF, the New England Forestry Foundation is NEF. They have the right as the easement holder to come and inspect the property annually or more if needed to ensure that all the terms of the easement are being respected. And they have a right to be a notified party when certain things occur. So if the land title changes or if certain forestry activities are going to happen on the land, they receive notice from the Bower so that they have a chance to just confirm that everything is consistent with the easement terms that they hold. So they are the interested third party, and they are co-stewards of the land with the landowner. So we work together to make sure that the conservation values continue.
And you can see how in a cemetery design that's really important, because you're not only protecting the land and the forest, but you're protecting people's accessibility to their loved ones, as well as usage, and being able to work with an easement that even allows that opportunity for burial is something that would need to be integrated, I would assume, into your easement language.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for folks who are landowners who may be in the position of designing a new easement, being aware that your easement terms can be completely bespoke to the property is something important. So in the period of time when the Tellmans were designing their easement, they were focusing primarily on values of maintaining a working forest landscape. And for a landowner who is considering a green burial, they might want to consider preserving the rights of burial for their forest or for whatever the landscape is under the easement term. So you can craft new easement language, and as the green burial movement grows, there may become more precedents for that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of moving pieces that you spoke about. But one of the other things I want to circle back to when you originally introduced yourself was you just received certification for forest therapy trails through
the ANFT.
Can you introduce what ANFT is, who they are, maybe where people can learn more about them?
Yes. So ANFT is an organization that I'm really excited to have partnered with. ANFT, again, stands for the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides. And they're an organization that advocates for a structured practice of interacting with nature for therapeutic reasons. And so they are a proponent of educating, the public about the benefits of being in forest environments and natural environments for human health, for mental health, and for a variety of different mental health condition management situations. And so ANFT offers both training for guides, so for people that are interested in leading others into natural environments to do mindfulness-based interactions with nature. And then they also provide certification for land and for landowners, in this case for the Bower, certifying trails, places, and spaces where individuals can either in a self-guided way or in a guided way interact with nature with a therapeutic intent. And so it's not the same as going on a hike through the woods. It's more of a guided stroll or a guided meditation as you move through a forested space. And the guiding process that ANFT trains its guides in focuses really heavily on this idea of invitations. So folks are being invited to, but not required to in a task-based way, but invited into a natural space and prompted to consider interacting with nature or observing nature in a way that kind of wakens the senses and helps to center the mind and body in a place. And I liked their framework for thinking about what the benefits of being in nature are. And they've been a really great partner designing a portion of our forest trails for this use.
It makes me think about like yoga.
Totally.
I love the idea of doing yoga. I'm like, I'll go for a walk in the woods and I'll have I think somebody would, forest therapy, I'll just go for a walk in the woods. But they've never tried to do yoga without instruction.
It's hard.
It is hard. Like you can't, getting out of your own head and just like finding those focus points or, knowing how to move through something. Really, that gentle guide is everything, and doing it in a way that's efficient and takes the stress off of you. Like, I want to do yoga. And then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Where's my leg going? Am I left? Am I right? And when I was able to visit Madi and her land, to be able to like kind of follow a certain path, and then this invitation into a beautiful space, I am really excited about actually engaging in that trail with a therapy guide and somebody who's like can help me to walk through there with that intention. I can see how it would be incredibly useful when working through grief. And anything else really, hard decisions or life changes or just general anxiety or whatever it is you're carrying. But when I learned about what Madi was doing and how incredibly dedicated she was to merging this ability to have land conservation space, but in a way that invites community and healing, I was like, whoa, ooh, this person is totally in alignment with like the value set of Life Forest. And in that mindset, it was apparent to us at Life Forest that we had worked so hard to create something that would engage the community, and in order to bring it to a place where people looked forward to it and loved it and became part of their like seasonal, schedule. And we accomplished that task through the Midnight Market. And I just want to give credit to the person on our team who came up with the idea. So there was a woman who worked with us for quite some time named Sayer, and she is a funeral director. And she had these brilliant ideas around how to really engage people in a way that is like complimentary and respectful to the death process. And, she approached me about, like, maybe we could do this midnight market. Do you think it's too edgy? And, I trusted that she had the vision for it. And I'm glad that I did, because she really helped to define what it was that people were trying to capture. And I think that's magic, right? Like, people want to feel engaged in their senses, but they also want to, like, sometimes you just want to enter a different type of world.
Yeah.
And as our midnight market grew and the amount of people grew, and then simultaneously our cemetery space grew, and finding that balance of space that wasn't in our burial areas became very difficult. And so it was just like divine intervention, they call it, synchronicity. I don't know.
Kismet.
Yes, fancy words for it. I met and was introduced to Madi and what she's doing on her land. The same day, I thought I need to make a decision about how to continue scale back the midnight market, don't have the midnight market, find a different venue for the midnight market. What am I going to do here that's not a disappointment to the community, simultaneously with being able to keep the set of kind of values of what we're holding. And that's just not something that you built a little baby. You don't want to just hand your baby off to just anybody. And next thing you know, it's like, who knows? It's just madness. But we are very much in agreement about presentation and kind of capturing an emotional and experience that engages an artistic community, people who are excited and have that child still inside them that wants to experience a space that feels magical. And, Madi is stepping up to this challenge in a way that is so exciting for us. So the reason we're sitting here is the 5th annual Midnight Market is going to be hosted by the Bower. Madi is taking on a lot of that responsibility, 99.9% of it. So we are so grateful for that. And we have had Jessica, who has been instrumental in building up different vendors and creating different ways of doing things within the midnight market. And Madi is able to kind of take that over for us. So again, the 5th annual Midnight Market will not be in Hillsborough. It will be in Bethlehem.
Yes.
Bethlehem. So saying that, let's talk about some of the logistics around the 5th annual Midnight Market in Bethlehem.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing to know for folks who have attended the Midnight Market in Hillsborough is Bethlehem is north. So it's about a 2-hour drive north of here. So if you're interested in coming, plan for a new location and potentially different driving logistics. We've also moved the event up a little bit earlier since we get cold fast in the North Country. We have nabbed the last weekend in September at the farm to make sure that everybody who's visiting gets the benefit of our best autumn weather. So we've scheduled the event to take place on the evenings of Friday, September 25th and Saturday, September 26th, which also luckily happens to be a full moon weekend. So we'll have some beautiful natural light in the woods for the evening event. We'll be open from 6 p.m. to midnight. And the key thing for folks to know who are guests is that we must have folks register for the event beforehand, because we are running a free shuttle from Main Street, Bethlehem to the farm. So folks will park in town and take our magic school bus to the farm, and then we'll return folks to Main Street at the end of their visit. And so when you register as a guest, you'll tell us which shuttle you would like to both arrive on and depart on. And optionally, we hope everyone will take us up on a guided walk through the newly certified ANFT forest therapy trails. That is an optional portion of the evening, and there's more information at the Bowers website about what the trail system is and the sorts of things that you'll see. The cool thing about doing a trail walk at night in the moonlight is that you have the chance to experience our incredible dark sky location. So everybody keep fingers crossed for a clear night. If we have a clear night without too many clouds, there's really tremendous stargazing from one of the points on the forest therapy trail that we call the Big Sky Meadow. So Big Sky Meadow at night in September should be lovely. But for anybody who maybe doesn't feel comfortable going on a guided walk at night, we're going to have a very warm, well-lit pop-up market with all of the midnight market vendors that you've known and loved, plus some new local vendors from the North Country area. And we'll have some gentle acoustic music happening around the campfire, and folks are encouraged and invited to dress up as forest-inspired magical creatures in a family-friendly way. We're really excited to be bringing kids and families from the community in for the earlier side of the evening. And yeah, it should be a really good time. I'm very excited to have new visitors to the Bower to come and see what we're about and to really enjoy a beautiful forest location at a really cool time of year and a really cool time of the evening. Yeah.
So you mentioned it's imperative to register.
Yes.
Can you tell us how to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to thebowernh.com, you will see a big link to the Midnight Market in our top navigation. And if you click on that link, you will see our landing page for the Midnight Market, and guest registration is either the first or the second big orange call out on that page. And so you can click on the guest registration and we will get all the information that we need from you to make sure that we get you onto the shuttle, that we get you onto a walk if that is something you would like to do, and get you home in the evening. Just make sure that we have all the information we need to take folks on guided walks. So there's also additional information that the guides need in order to lead folks safely through the woods.
So I just want to remind you, how often do we, as just like people who may be coming in from, more populated areas, get to actually enjoy the deep woods at night in a way that feels safe and guided? Usually you're like, whoa, but this is magic and it's not scary at all. And it's super well organized. So that you can bring your kids and, your family, everybody's going to stay together and be safe, but within an incredibly humongous forest. How many acres do you have there?
So it's a 913 acre area, and we also are surrounded by additional farmland and forest land. So it even feels bigger than that when you're there. You are truly, when you're at the Bower, surrounded by private forest land. And I think what's really special for the visitors who already come as campers to the Bower is the experience of being in a space that is safe, but also a natural space. So you're really experiencing a natural woodland environment and an accessible trail system that can allow you to see lots of different types of forest stands, different types of trees, and because of our dark sky location, really tremendous night skies that we sometimes don't get to enjoy in urban areas because of light pollution. And I think the sounds of the forest at night and the smells of the forest at night are really, I think, deeply grounding for people. And I think part of the reason we're excited to have the community in the group is having a chance to be with your friends and family and community and enjoying the environment where you live without a lot of the distractions of light and loud sounds can be really calming and therapeutic all on its own. Even if you don't walk into the woods, if you just sit in the meadow by the campfire and enjoy the market area. I think it's a really lovely way to enjoy the forest and to appreciate all of the gifts that the Tellman family and other conservationists have given to the community by protecting the land so that we have these spaces, because they're really hard to find. It's hard to be in the woods in like a private way.
You brought up, so we know how, as an individual who wants to experience what is essentially going to be the event of New England in the fall. I mean, I don't want to, brag, but this is amazing. And I expect that this is a newer space for this market, that vendors are going to be lining up for this event as they did for the Midnight Market here. And do you have any vending space left? And if you do, at the time of this recording, how do vendors contact you or get engaged?
So we do still have booth space remaining for the pop-up market portion. And I welcome vendors, especially folks who are artists and makers in the New Hampshire and Northern New England area, to apply. You can apply as a vendor on that same page that I mentioned for guest registration. So thebowernh.com, click on the Midnight Market, and then look for the vendor sign up link, where since we're getting close to August 15th is the hard cutoff for vendor applications. And so I encourage any vendor who's interested, apply early, and we can make sure that everything that you need is squared away in order to come to the event. We know that for a lot of vendors, this is a new location compared to where they were before. They may have different travel logistics or other festivals they're managing. So for that reason, we have made our campground reserved solely for vendors for the event weekend. So Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night of the event weekend, vendors are invited to be at the vendor campground as well, so that you don't have to figure out like a place to be in town, and to simplify kind of getting to and from the farm. So anyway, if you're a vendor and you're interested in being part of the market, please do apply. We'd love to have you.
That's incredible. That was one of the big things that was kind of a difficult point for the vendors at the Midnight Market, getting set up in a forested space at night, getting all the lights out, putting their art out, and then at midnight wrapping it all back up.
Yes.
It was very difficult and exhausting. And so the opportunity to camp there is incredible. And it's something that I know that our vendors were looking for. And to be able to do that over 2 nights was the other kind of like opportunity that you're giving to them, because we were one night, set up, breakdown, late at night. Everybody's tired. From the vendor perspective, they loved it. And we all enjoyed each other and our company there, and it was just great, but it was a difficult logistic. And so having that camping opportunity is huge, and the 2 nights of opportunity for putting out your objects and being able to have the access to people who are looking to buy their holiday presents, and it's like that last chance to get out there and really do some outdoor shopping, which in New England, I mean, that's a big deal. Like, we live for this stuff. Like, where are apple orchards and, speaking of which, like, where are our jams and our breads and cheeses and homemade items, and how do I buy them outside? It's a big deal. That's what we live for. And this is like the last chance outside in New England to be able to shop for those things.
It is. It's, I think, the sort of tail end of the really nice weather, and it should be, I think, a fun way to wrap up the sort of craft fair and festival season, but from a vendor standpoint and from a guest standpoint, if you're someone who like makes a point to travel around in the area to hit all those festivals, of which there are many, in county fairs and things like that. So I'm really excited for vendors to be there. A lot of previous vendors who are returning from prior years are really excited to be at the new location and enjoy the trails. And we're trying to put together optionally for folks who are camping on site, a little bit of daytime activities since,
Oh,
since they'll be
cool.
working the event at night. So if you're a vendor coming, you have a chance to actually, I mean, the little secret is like the beautiful fall colors. Obviously you enjoy most during the daytime. So the vendors will be the folks who can maybe enjoy the colors on the daytime end of the event weekend.
That's awesome. Is there anything that you would like to, how would you, I don't know how to pose this question, but how would you describe the vision that you're projecting? So, I'm going to make the trip with my family to go to the North Country because I really want an experience that I cannot just find anywhere. So I walk in and what am I going to see? Like, what does it feel like? And can you describe it a little bit, what the vision is?
Yeah, so I can describe two things. So the journey up to the North Country itself, and then the journey to the Bower. I sometimes just call it the farm, but the journey to the Bower itself. So if you're coming from southern New England and you have the opportunity to arrive in Bethlehem, coming through Franconia Notch in the fall, this is peak leaf peeping season. So folks should plan for the fact that there could be significant traffic coming into a weekend. So if you are planning to stay through the weekend during peak leaves in northern New Hampshire, and you're planning to stay overnight at a hotel or a campground, book your accommodations now, because I've talked to innkeepers and folks running the hotels in the area. Like, they will book out 6 weeks, and it's like every place will be sold out. So if you're coming to stay overnight, plan in advance for your accommodations. Plan to take your time coming up the highway, because the colors will just get progressively more spectacular as you approach the White Mountains. Since our leaves turn first, you're going to be basically watching the autumn unfold as you head north, and the colors get more and more intense, and more of the canopy is in color. Once you get to Main Street, Bethlehem, which is my charming hometown, you'll find a number of very lovely restaurants and our historic Colonial Theater, which are on Saturday night. The Colonial has a live show. So if you're coming to plan a weekend, there's a lot of stuff to do in Bethlehem where you'll be parking. And so check out the restaurants, check out the shops, check out the theater. And then the bus pickup will be from Bethlehem Elementary School. So everybody can relive the glory days of elementary school, show up at the school. The local school bus is our event shuttle.
Ooh, how fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit at the back. I'm totally fighting for
exactly.
the
And the bus will take you up the hill to the Bower. And it's about a 12-minute drive from the school to the farm. And as you roll down the lane, which is our driveway into the property, you'll just be entering a tunnel of beautiful sugar maples, and coming out at the end of that about a mile-long drive into our Camp Jack Meadow, which is where the pop-up market will be, and which is also where the trailhead to the Forest Therapy Trail Loop is. And so the bus will pull in, drop folks off, and we'll have the sort of the pop-up market up around the campfire. So, lit up for the evening activities. Our trail guides will be there at the welcome station for the Bower, so that folks who have signed up to go on a walk know where to meet. And folks can check out the market in the meadow. And then if they've joined for a walk, the trail guides will kind of call people together about every 90 minutes to take a new walk, and plan for about 90 minutes of the walk. We're finalizing exactly how much of the trail we'll do, given that it's a nighttime walk, but it'll be between 60 and 90 minutes. And folks can come with kids, you can come solo. And again, we just very strongly encourage register early. You will get first preference in picking your time on your shuttle time and your walk time. So if you'd like to come, please book your shuttle so we know to expect you.
So it starts at 6 p.m. Is that correct?
That's right. So the first pickup, the first shuttle time that you can choose will be 6 p.m. And then the shuttle will be returning to Main Street every 30 minutes. So you can choose the 6 o'clock, the 6:30, the 7, etc. The last returning shuttle from the Bower to town will depart the Bower at 11:15. So as a guest, the latest you'll be able to stay is 11:15, and then vendors will obviously have more time to look that afterwards.
That's perfect. And so it'll be pitch dark, right?
It should be quite dark.
So you get off the bus in the forest.
You'll be coming out of the bus in the most well-lit part. So basically the market will be the source of light. We'll have the campfire and all the booths lit up. When my booth is lit up at night, it's like a glowing lantern sitting in the woods, which is very lovely.
Yeah.
But then for folks that would like to come on the walk, that will be an experience that's more, that's darker. And so we'll encourage people who are signing up. We'll give folks a checklist of like, consider bringing these items. And so for folks who are uncomfortable in the dark or want to have a little bit of light, there'll be ways to provide that, but the guides will be kind of maintaining a pretty like a dark walking experience, so that for folks who really want to see the stars, we're respecting people's night vision.
So, I mean, is this one of the first ever trail guided walks at night with a therapy guide? Like, this is like brand new, right?
So for the Bower, it is, but so definitely at the Bower, this will be the first time that we're having guided nighttime walks. For myself and previous land stewards living at the Bower, we are very spoiled and getting to enjoy that just as folks living there at the land. So I'm really excited for other folks to be able to enjoy that in a safe and guided way. The forest at night is incredibly beautiful, and I think is something really worth experiencing. And the guides are wonderful. They're really good at just creating and holding space for people to experience the forest and sometimes the emotions that come up when interacting with nature. It can be, people are carrying a lot of things with them that they may, need help processing or need space to process. And a forest is a beautiful place to just have the space held for you. And
So how do people learn more about your certification guide? Like, is there a website or something that they can learn about this organization?
Yes. So anft.earth is where you can visit the website of the organization that has actually done the certification for the Bowers Trail Loop. The name of the forest consultant and licensed guide that we have is Christine Tappan. So she's been the one working with me to design and get finalized the certified trail loop with all the different invitations that go on the trail. And then some of the additional guides who are planning to come for the evening we'll be highlighting them so that you can learn more about who will be guiding at the event. So for folks that register for the event, we'll be giving updates with additional details, including the guides.
That's incredible. Is there anything that I didn't think to ask you about either the Bower or the midnight market that we should talk about, that people should know?
That's a good question. I think we've done a pretty good job covering the essentials. I think the one just invitation that I would give to anybody considering, coming is the North Country in autumn is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Even if you can't make the event for that particular weekend, come to the North Country and enjoy the woods. The Bower is a great place to do it, but I think no matter how you get out into nature and how you get out into the woods, it is a worthwhile thing to do.
Yes.
And I think the North Country is really worth the trip. And I hope that you'll come and get to experience our little corner of the North Woods.
Well, thank you so much. And those lovely trees. Yes. So thank you, Melissa, for chiming in. We appreciate it. And Melissa, do you have any questions, or anybody have any questions that I can think of? If not, we'll give a minute. And if you want to just enjoy, I like that. If you want to learn more about Life Forest, you can find us at Life Forest Cemetery. I think it's thelifeforestcemetery.com. Learn more about the Bower at the Bower, BOWER That's
right.
And at the end of each live broadcast, I tell people what they're going to be expecting next month from us. So next month, we are going to be speaking with the president of the nonprofit of Life Forest Board. Her name's Kelly. And we're going to be kind of getting into talk about her community engagement and what she does with Life Forest and how she helps to guide us through the knowledge that she has running a natural foods store. So in her community, she runs a natural food store that is very small business and community orientated. So we get to meet her and ask her any questions that you guys might have. So we will see you the second Tuesday of the month at noon for our little chats here in our little live stream. And thank you so much. Bye. Okay, so I'm gonna end it. Bye, everybody. It's time for real. I'm gonna end. Okay.